Hey everyone, this is Nikachu, and today we are going to look at Modern's most longest standing bad guy villain and all around hated deck, Modern Tron. If you're going to pick up Tron, while you're picking up all the singles, you might as well also get yourself a top hat, the swirly mustache, or you could get like a dark cape and black mask because you know you're the bad guy. Tron has such a reputation that even Wizards of the Coast takes shots at them. Why is that, you ask? Well, it's because of their outright, never-ending desire for power. Just take a look at this. Now, at first sight, if you've never seen a Tron deck, you might think, what is going on here? This list is a joke. You've got 6 mana, 10 mana, 7 mana, 8 mana cards? Isn't this Modern, where people kill you on turns 3, 4, and 5? And the answer is yes, but the Tron players, they are cheating on mana. You see, there's something called Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Tower. And if they all add 1 generic mana, but if you have all 3 combined, all of a sudden Urza's Mine adds 2, Power Plant adds 2, and the Tower adds 3. And like all villains, they're trying to put in the absolute minimum effort while getting the most maximum power. And make no mistake, Tron is a villain. I mean, nobody is like waking up every single day and saying, oh my god, thank you so much, Tron. Tron, without you, Modern wouldn't be so balanced and diverse. Tron, thank you for keeping the BS combo decks at bay. Nobody says this because, well, none of it's true in the first place. Most people just prefer to complain about the fact that Tron gets to play 3 lands and get 7 mana out of it, like they're cheating the system, and there's no community louder about that fact than the Jund players. Oh, the Jund players, they absolutely despise this deck. Sorry, Inquisition of Kozilek has like no power here. Oh, you got Abrupt Decay, Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push. I mean, that's all being laughed at in the face of all these planeswalkers and giant creatures. And, by the way, you cannot Thoughtseize the lands away. You can Thoughtseize a lot of cards, but it's not going to be the Tron lands. So when control players mana leak you, you could be like, yeah, sure, I'll pay the 3, and you can keep the change. But overall, I think the hate on Tron is just like grossly exaggerated. The Jund community, in their millions of numbers, they might be overrepresenting how bad Tron is in the modern metagame. I mean, let's be serious. Like Storm players are not complaining about Tron. Burn players aren't complaining about Tron. Infect players are not complaining about Tron. You're literally doing nothing for the first 3 turns to assemble 7 mana. In that time, you can easily die to a lot of combo decks. I'm sorry, Jund players, you built your deck to interact with other fair creature-based decks? In this sense, I actually think the Jund players are being a bunch of whiny babies. I mean, all of a sudden a deck comes around and you can't interact with it because their cards are fighting on a completely different axis, and you consider that broken. So let's look at how this deck ticks. So you want to assemble Tron, which is Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Tower in play. What does Tron mean? I don't know. Honestly, someone else in the comments section below can explain that. But that is what you're trying to assemble. Tron. Now, how are we going to do that? Through multiple different ways. One of them is through looking for the missing land cards with Sylvan Scrying, which can search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library afterwards. Expedition Map, which is also a tutor you can play on turn 1, crack it for 2 mana, sacrifice it, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. You could also use Ancient Stirrings, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a colorless card from among them, put it into your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of the library in any order. So you can look for the missing Tron piece, or you could look for a payoff card. The deck is basically a colorless deck. But there's also one method that is very underrated, and that is through mulligans. You're allowed to use the London mulligan. If your hand looks mediocre at 6 or 5 cards, don't be afraid of throwing it away. I have seen so many Tron players mulligan straight down to 3 to get that great Tron hand and then just play whatever BS nonsense they can off the top of their deck. Also, don't forget, you can use Expedition Map, Sylvan Scrying to find utility lands like Blast Zone to blow up your opponent's small creatures, or hate cards like Damping Sphere. Let's look at the payoff cards. All right, Ugin the Spirit Dragon. If this enters the battlefield, the game is over. Karn Liberated. When this enters the battlefield, usually the game is over. Karn the Great Creator. When this hits the battlefield, the game is over. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. When this enters the battlefield, the game is over. Wormcoil Engine. When this enters the battlefield, usually the game is over. Walking Ballista. If you have enough mana, the game is over. So that's the point. When you have enough mana with this deck, you have this devastating large advantage, and very often just game-winning advantage when you slam one of these planeswalkers on the battlefield. I mean, we look at these cards. Walking Ballista is not only a card that's pretty good early in the game while you're playing your land drops, maybe interacting with creatures, killing them, or blocking them, but also is a great mana sink very late in the game when you have like 12, 15, 16, up to 20 mana. Just play Walking Ballista for 1,000,000, shoot your opponent to death. Wormcoil Engine, a fantastic stabilizer. 6/6 Death Touch and Lifelink. All right, go for your verdicts, whatever you want. Sweep the board, destroy this creature. You get a 3/3 lifelinker and a 3/3 death touch out of it. So really resistant against removal, both from the opponent and yourself. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger for 10 mana, a 10/10 creature that can mill you out. So, I mean, you can have infinite life all you want. No big deal. Ulamog, whenever it attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library, and exiles, when you cast this thing, exile two permanents. So it can be lands, can be creatures, artifacts, enchantments. Problematic card coming from the opponents while being this outrageously large threat that can win in 2 dimensions, either with damage or mill. Then we've got like Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Sure, 8 mana can basically wipe the board, also as a source of damage, and the ultimate is amazing. So the ultimate is you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. The -X, exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less. That's 1 or more colors. Does not affect your own stuff. You are colorless. Then the +2, Ugin the Spirit Dragon deals 3 damage to any target. So you can snipe off small creatures, whatever survive, whatever is played after the big board wipe, the opponent has no chance of coming back. Then you got Karn Liberated. So you immediately get to Tron mana. Beautiful. 7 mana. Perfect. Let's start exiling permanents, either the lands, the creature in play. And very underrated, by the way, is the +4. Target player exiles a card from their hand. This means Karn goes straight to 10, almost impossible to kill, and can guarantee that you get to untap with it and do something else next turn while still eating away your opponent's hand. But also, very underrated is the -14. Remember, if you do gain infinite life, have some potential lock on the battlefield, Karn can reset the game. So -14, restart the game, basically as a means of getting out of any stupid situation. There's a lot of combo decks that think that they've got it made against every archetype, and you would think they'd have a good matchup versus Tron, but Tron has means of restarting the entire game. Then there's Karn the Great Creator. So basically, you've got a deck that has more than 60 cards because you get to pull cards from your sideboard. This card has been basically almost like a lock piece for forever, has been being jammed in many different archetypes, works here, so you have access to Ensnaring Bridge, stabilize against big chunky aggro decks. You can get Liquid Metal Coating and strip away their lands. Go get another Walking Ballista, get some Graveyard Hate if you need to. So Karn the Great Creator, a very powerful addition to the Tron deck. Because Tron is such a powerful deck, it will really shorten the skill gap between yourself and the opponent if you're either new to Magic or even new to the modern format. And the best part is that you'll piss the Jund players off. Tarmogoyf should still be good in today's modern metagame. There's nothing wrong with Tarmogoyf. The thing that's wrong with modern is 3 lands that play Karn Liberated on turn 3. And that's the true power of Tron. Not only does it break the rules of mathematics you learned in elementary school, 1 + 1 + 1 does not equal 3. It will equal 7 or more. But it also breaks the ego of the Thoughtseize players. Now, unlike what some communities might think, the deck does not exactly play itself. I mean, your mulligan decisions do need to be aggressive to get the full value out of this deck, but also, I can tell the difference between a really strong and particularly weak Tron player. You gotta use your Oblivion Stones better. I mean, you can put fate counters on your perms to keep protecting them. You don't have to crack it immediately. You can be patient. Be patient with your Oblivion Stone. Be patient with your life total. Paying 5 to sacrifice it, destroy each non-land permanent without a fate counter on it, then remove all fate counters from all permanents. This is like you can wipe the board at instant speed. So if you're getting attacked with creatures, think about it. Do you need to crack the Oblivion Stone? Because maybe you don't. Maybe you take the damage. And why would you want to do that? So that your opponent has no opportunity to play creatures on the second main phase. And then at end of turn, crack the Oblivion Stone, and then whatever planeswalker you put on the battlefield on the following turn cannot be attacked by your opponent. If you crack the Oblivion Stone too early, the opponent rebuilds the board with more creatures, and there's no telling that your Karn Liberated, your Karn the Great Creator, is going to survive next turn. You also got to plot out how are you going to assemble Tron, because you might be too greedy with your expedition map. Maybe you have to be patient. For example, if you just have a forest and have one Tron piece, let's say a mine on the battlefield, are you going to crack this thing immediately to be finding your Tron pieces, or will you wait? Is it better to be patient? Wait to see if you draw a power plant first. That way, now you know to crack your expedition map to find an Urza's Tower, because if you crack the map too early, find a power plant, and then you draw a power plant, now you'll just look silly. One good thing about getting into this deck is that you absolutely know that you're going to get upgrades over time. This deck has continuously been upgraded for like the last 8 years. Walking Ballista has been an upgrade, Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger has been an upgrade, Ugin the Spirit Dragon has been an upgrade, Karn the Great Creator has been an upgrade, Blast Zone has been an upgrade, so as more colorless cards, artifacts, creatures, and even lands get printed in future sets, you can take advantage of that in the Tron deck. And because of this constant flow of upgrades, Tron has stood the test of time. It's been around since the incarnation of Modern. Not only the community has been hating on Tron this whole time, so has Wizards of the Coast. They've printed things like Alpine Moon, Damping Sphere, Field of Ruin to help enable other decks fight against this deck. And of course, a staple of the format, Blood Moon, has been around the entire time. But Blood Moon, Tron just laughs at Blood Moon. I'm a colorless deck, dumbass. Your Blood Moon has no power here. Okay, great. Play turn 3 Blood Moon. I'll play turn 3 Oblivion Stone. Land, crack, get my Tron mana all over again. Or even just ignore the damn thing. I mean, Tron has so many times just played 6 lands in a row, Wormcoil Engine. It's GG. It's over. So when you're playing Blood Moon, it's only good if you can back it up with a good clock to win before the Tron player can stabilize. You can still play Karn the Great Creator at 4 mana and start wrecking your opponent with all the colorless spells that you're going to find from the sideboard, like Liquid Metal Coating, to start stripping away all your lands. Nice Blood Moon out there. So if you're thinking of role-playing a villain this weekend, you can do that with Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online, and the best way to cosplay any archetype in any format. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can save yourself 15% off your first 3 months using my coupon code Nikachu. Some decks don't get junded out.